Popeye was a tremendous success and quite instant. It became apparent that this was a very successful cartoon. The distributors were demanding more and more and more. The people at Paramount had great difficulty understanding the problems created when they would ask them to produce 2 cartoons in the same period of time that they used to do 1. And they would not give them enough money generally to do it right, to do it the way it should have been done. So that had to make the product suffer. It just had to suffer. Paramount said instead of 1 cartoon a month, we need 2 Popeye cartoons. And I don't think they realized what that meant, but in animation, that it isn't just shooting twice the film or whatever. That means doubling the entire production staff. And Fleischer Studios kept leasing more space in 1600 Broadway. They had 1 floor originally. When they went to 2, they had to get 2 floors, and I think eventually it went to 4 cartoons. They had to take 4 stories, and they were up to 650 employees. It was a very, very large operation. Also, the staff was frazzled and overworked. This is very interesting. Nobody in my family is very good at saying no to somebody. The creative genius of somebody like Steven Spielberg is that at a very early age he was able to say no to people when they'd ask him to do something. At least that's what I understand. Max and Dave couldn't say no. And I think they should have said no to Paramount when Paramount kept demanding more and more and more product, because it obviously has to suffer. The product has to suffer when you mass produce it, and especially mass produce it in too short a period with too few people. I'm just amazed that no one said, no, we can't do that. We won't. We won't give you 4 pictures a month. We will give you 2 pictures a month, and you will be happy with those pictures. And if you want them, you'll take them. If not, I'm sure there's another studio around who'd love to have them. They're very successful. I don't understand that. See, to me, why didn't somebody ever say that? What happened was he came back to work, and the labor relations between Max and Dave and the fledgling animation union had completely broken down. I remember one incident that really left an indelible mark on me and probably changed my whole life. My father used to bring me to the studios in the summer when I wasn't in school and let me sit right next to him and watch him work and cut film, and he would in fact give me NG film to work with and pretend I was doing something with it and pretend I was writing on the exposure sheets and things like that. And one time, and I loved it. To me, that was one of the biggest thrills, was to get to go into the studio with my dad. Well, one day we came up to 1600 Broadway, and I saw all kinds of commotion and people walking around with signs and everything. And my dad went over and he spoke with these people for a while out front of the studio. And then he came back to me and he said, "We're not going in the studio today, Bernie." He said, "We're going to go to the park." And he said, "In fact, let's go to the planetarium." He said, "I've wanted to go to the planetarium for a long time." So we spent the whole day wandering around Central Park and the evening at the planetarium. And it wasn't until the next morning, I guess, that kind of all hell broke loose, because one of the papers, and I think it was the New York Times, got a picture of my dad refusing to cross the picket line at his own studio. And they thought that was very interesting and very funny. Well, it didn't set with his brothers at all as being funny. They were extremely upset about it. And I remember at this little house we had in Manhattan Beach, a line of limos coming up to the front door, and Max and Dave and lawyers for Paramount and all kinds of people coming into the house, and really heated arguments. You can't do this. You must come in to work. You must cross the picket line. And my dad said no. He said, when you resolve it, I'll be back. But until you resolve your problems with the union, I'm not going back into work. And that really was a problem for them, because they at that point was the music department was not that well established where they might have had somebody in place to replace him. So it literally stalled production, and I think it contributed a lot to the eventual settlement of the strike.